Hello everybody, welcome to a brand new video. Yay! This is gonna be a different video than usual. It's gonna be about movies, mostly. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about comfort movies when I'm feeling down. This is basically an old type, an old school, video reply uh, to MDMax09, that's the channel name, Mikey, and he made a video about this topic a couple of weeks ago, and I only recently managed to watch it, and this is my reply to him, plus obviously whoever wants to watch this. I'm not going to have any footage from movies for obvious reasons. I'm probably gonna have somewhere around here gameplay video of some game, since that's much easier and safer to do so, obviously without any sound. Alright, let's start talking about movies which I watch and they make me feel good, especially when I'm feeling down. They don't have to be comedies, although some of them are, and one of them is not actually in English either. Let's do this. We start with My Super Ex-Girlfriend, a relatively recent movie, comedy, and I don't know, just this movie is for me one of the best comedies of the last I don't know, 15 years or so. It's strange because it's nothing special, but at the same time, if I catch it on TV or something, I can't stop watching, and it always makes me feel good, always. And this is why it is on this list. Next movie, definitely not a comedy. A movie which was released. Really, I'm not very good with dates, but it was released in the last, let's say, 10 years. The movie is called I, Frankenstein, an action movie loosely based on the story. Yeah. It's the story, the book, the movies, take it as you wish, of Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monster. And it's definitely an action movie which makes you feel good, very, very good, and that's why it's here. I recommend it, as of course I recommend every other movie on this list. Next movie. This movie makes me feel good, although usually it also makes me cry, but I do watch it when I feel down, and the movie is of course Conduct, based on the book. And I like this movie very much for what it is, for all the messages it sends, the optimism, and not obviously because you don't know me, but and partly because of who wrote the book. Yeah. Next movie. This is going to be a strange movie for here, but anyway. Vanishing on the 7th Street. A horror movie with a little bit of science fiction elements, and definitely not the best movie for many people, and not the most optimistic movie. But for some reason, even though it is so gloomy and so depressing, it actually makes me feel good. Next movie, Hellbound. Why? Because you have Chuck Norris beating the crap out of, Satan. That's why. It's excellent. The Adventures of Pluto Nash. I'm probably the only person on the planet who loves this movie. It's a science fiction film with comedy, and in my opinion, it is a very well made movie. I have no idea why it was received so badly, why it tanked, why we'll probably never see a Blu-ray, at least on Region 2. And yeah, for me it was a fun science fiction movie, like a very light version of Blade Runner with Total Recall together. Very light. But yeah, still fun. Oh yeah. The next one is John Wick. The first one, the only one I have seen so far. It's probably one of the most violent films of recent years. When I first got it on Blu-ray, I had no idea what it was about. I just got it, and I couldn't stop smiling because of how fun it was. And I have to say, when you're feeling down and you want to see, the world burn, in a way, this is a good film. John Wick. Next one, From Dusk Till Dawn, one of my all-time favorite films. Why does it make me feel good? Because it's amazing. Because it has everything. It has good action, good comedy, some horror, some... Ah man, this chair needs repair. Some... I don't know, let's say religious, philosophical issues. It's a great fun film to watch, especially if you're down. Well, when I'm down at least. Next one, The Mummy. The Mummy for me was always very similar to the Indiana Jones films, which by the way are not here. Not that I don't like them. The Mummy managed to reach a level of fun when things go bad that few movies do it, and for me this is a great action movie that deserves to be seen anytime, of course, but also when you're feeling down. The next one is The Last Starfighter. It's difficult to explain, but if you're born in the 80s or 70s, or I guess earlier, I don't know, but at least in those 2 decades, the idea behind the movie, The Last Starfighter, is that you, as a kid or young man, or woman I guess, but in this exact case, a man, you're feeling down, you are, everything seems to be going shit, and it's mostly not your fault, and you're still trying to do the right thing, even though you know you're gonna pay for it. It has very similar vibes to the first Star Wars film, when Luke wants to go on adventuring, but he has to stay back to help his uncle. Yeah, and things go wildly out of, well, let's just say, not what he was planning on doing that night, and he finds himself. Well, I don't want to say anything. If you haven't seen it, I don't want to ruin it for you. But it is science fiction comedy movie, which is fantastic. Next one. This is a Greek movie, the only one in this list. It is called The Company. It's about a group of men who are basically criminals, very, very bad criminals. And by bad I mean they almost never manage to not get caught. No, wait. Almost never manage to not get caught. Yeah, I said that right. They're terrible at their job, at stealing stuff. And one mastermind arranges for them to do one big bank job, and nothing goes well. The production value of the movie is low. It was a straight to VHS tape movie from the 80s, and at least here we had many of them which were very, very low quality. And in terms of production value, again, this one is like that. And nothing serious too as a script, but it's so funny, intentionally, thankfully. It's so funny that if you speak Greek, you have to watch this. You probably know it, but yeah, it's like no matter what, no matter how bad you feel, you watch this movie and you're smiling. Next movie, quite a bit different. Ghosts of Mars, John Carpenter movie, one of my favorite director, filmmaker, and this is another movie that was not received well by the public or the critics, and I don't care. Ghosts of Mars is a pure action, science fiction, zombie mode movie set on Mars. It's the type of movie that if you're feeling bad, just switch off your brain and just watch this, and everything is fine. It's very good. Next one. Oh yeah, The Green Mile. Now, The Green Mile is definitely not a comedy, although there are some funny bits in it. It's the type of movie that, at least for myself, it just makes me cry. I mean, by the end of the movie, just uncontrollably tears everywhere. But at the same time, makes me feel good and happy inside. I can't say much about the story if you haven't seen it. I don't know why you haven't seen it, but it's set in the 30s, I believe, 1930s, for the most part, and or 20s. No, I think 30s. Set in a prison, in a maximum security death row type of thing. Prison, and some very nasty people there, but among all the nasty people there are also a few really good men, and it's so difficult to talk about this movie without saying what happens. Just watch it. It's fantastic. Next one. Oh man, this chair. I hope you cannot hear it. The next one is Leon the Professional. An action movie at heart. Well, not at heart. I would say 50% some of the best action in a movie ever. The other 50% is it's a story about two humans, one grown man and one child who, due to a few things, they start well, they become friends. And this excellent movie, it makes me smile just thinking about it. I can't say much. Just watch it. Leon the Professional. Yeah. Oh my. Yeah. Next movie in line. And oh man, End of Days. End of Days is a very depressing, for the most part, movie. Action movie with horror elements and very well. As I said, very depressing movie. I mean, even the main hero tries. Well, he's very close to killing himself at the near the beginning of the movie. So, yeah, but still, with how things proceed in the movie and how he meets a woman, nothing sexual between them, and tries to help her. And everything ends up being just excellent, even when things go from bad to worse. This movie gives you hope. It's strange, but it works. Very different movies now. Superman 1 and 2. Plus Man of Steel, that the reboot that happened in 2006, I think, or something. Again, one of the type of movies that I find myself basically crying, which makes no sense. But they are more like cries, not cries, tears of joy. Superman, I mean, everybody knows the story of Superman, probably. The whole idea that this person, who could be anything he wanted, but still sacrifices himself, his personal life, to help others, and is done so well in these movies that just you feel for him. Perhaps even you think that you are a bit like him, although obviously nothing like him, and the whole thing just merges together and makes you feel good. And that's why these three movies are here. Yeah. Next movie, Serenity. The movie following the Firefly series. Yeah. Which I hated when it came out because of something that happens in the movie. I'm not going to say what. But as a movie, as a feel-good movie, it's definitely up there. At least if you like science fiction movies. Speaking of which, the next one, Equilibrium. When this movie first arrived, I watched it in the cinema, and I had no idea what it was going to be about. And I felt like, this is fantastic. I enjoyed it far more than the Matrix trilogy, although it came after the second or after the first. I don't remember. And again, it's quite depressing for the most part, but there are bits and pieces that makes you feel good, give you hope, and just by the end enjoy the outcome. Next film, Grosse Pointe Blank, a comedy action movie about an assassin who goes to a reunion of his old school, students and all that. Only of course now they are grown people, and he finds himself trying to hide what his job is, which is an assassin, a hitman. Fantastic music, fantastic actors, story, just beautiful. Especially if you like the 80s. This is not an 80s movie, but it is heavily influenced by the 80s due to how it is set up. Next one, Big Trouble in Little China. I mean, we have the anti-hero, who is not even a hero or an anti. He's terrible at everything, yet you couldn't have this excellent heroic story without him. He's he's perfect, and the movie is perfect. Again, I'm smiling because of how this movie makes me feel. I remember it, and it improves my mood. Next one, High Noon. High Noon is very different from all the other movies. Well, not all, but most of the other movies I have mentioned so far. It is a western, although the western, not motif, but the western setting, yeah, is more like, it could be anything. But it is very good as a western too, don't get me wrong. It's a sheriff, an actual nice guy, who finds himself in trouble and needs support from the people of the town he is sheriff. And things don't go well for him. But he wants to do the right thing so much, not caring about the consequences, that you just can't stop but feeling proud of him and feeling good, even though everything that happens to him is terrible. He is a hero, and you want to support him as much as you can, and makes you feel good doing so. Even though of course you don't do anything, just watch the movie, but still, it's a beautiful, wonderful movie, and definitely improves my mood and makes me feel good, comfortable. A comfort movie when I'm feeling bad, and not only then, of course. Next movie, Ghostbusters. I'm talking about the original 1984 movie. One of my top, it's my number 2 movie of all time. Here, I said it. This movie is like almost as old as I am, and it's one of the first movies I remember watching in my life. A movie that I adore, that I have watched more than any other movie in my life. I mean, hundreds of times, and I like it, and it makes me feel good. Comfort movie, not just because of how excellent it is, as production, as work of art, but also because I feel like, I wouldn't say a sibling because I don't know how that will feel like. I don't have any brothers or sisters, but it's like it's a piece of art which I always, in a way, carry with me during my life. So it was almost always there, and just I love it. No, I mean, I seriously love it. Yeah. Speaking of which, the next movie. Blade Runner. I'm talking again about the original Blade Runner. I haven't seen the new one, although I've heard the best things about it. I just can't watch it. At least for now. Anyway, Blade Runner. Basically what I said about Ghostbusters, up to a point, because actually when I first watched Blade Runner I didn't like it, but I do remember it was the version of the what is it called? Where you heard the voice of, I think it was Harrison Ford, explaining what was going on, which completely ruined the movie, even when I was a child. And anyway, in the 90s, in the late 80s, early 90s, I started watching it again and again and again, and it slowly grew on me, to the point, of course, by the mid to late 90s, to become my #1 favorite movie, over Ghostbusters, which was till then the #1 movie for me. And while Blade Runner is not a happy movie, it's not a necessarily a happy story, depends how you see it. It just I think it's how beautiful it is, how good work of art it is, that you just anyway, let's go to the next one. The next one is a pure comedy, one of my favorite comedies of all time, and one of the comedies that made me laugh more than any other. Well, I don't know if it's a #1 for that, but it's definitely among the top 10. And it is Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. I'm talking about the 80... no. I don't remember when it was released. Anyway, late 80s, I believe. It's about a couple of criminals who try to work in, I think it's Monaco, right? South of France, anyway. Yeah, I know that Monaco is not France. Don't worry about it. I just don't remember if it was in Monaco or if it was in a French city. I don't remember now. I don't know. It's just blank. Anyway, it is a hilarious movie. I know it is based on an even older movie from the 60s, I believe, but I've never watched that. And this one, anyway, this one is pure joy in terms of comedy. Just you start watching it and you just can't stop laughing. Not so much that it is filled with jokes, one right after the other, but they are so good jokes that you keep laughing for minutes. At least that's how I find myself when I watch this movie, and easily belongs in this list. Next one. I was considering if I was gonna use this movie on this list or not. I have only watched it a couple of times, years ago. But I remember that both times when I watched it, I felt very good inside me. So that's why I'm including this here. And the movie is called The Man from Earth. It's one of my favorite type of movies. Most of it takes place, yeah, most of it, inside one house, one hut, no, house, one living room area. And it's mostly about a discussion between a few people. It's almost like a play, a very good play. I can't really say anything because I might ruin it. It's very good. The reason I haven't watched it yet is because, again, not yet, is because it was never on TV. And I don't have a DVD or Blu-ray of it. I don't know if it even exists. I mean, last time I checked was years ago. But I'm going to check again. Anyway, next movie. The Chronicles of Riddick. I'll add this. It's the Chronicles of Riddick and Terminator 3. Just hear me out. Terminator 3 is my favorite Terminator movie. I don't care what anyone else says. I know they say that Terminator 2, perhaps Terminator 1 is their favorite movie, Terminator movie. For me it is Terminator 3. I watched it many times on cinema. The same thing with the Chronicles of Riddick. Of course this is not what this is about, this list. This is about what movies, comfort movies when I'm feeling down. And the Chronicles of Riddick and Terminator 3 are very similar. I have them almost in the same thing, the same level, or the same space. Because even though very different movies, they both make me feel exactly the same and I have the same feelings for them. Science fiction movies, depressing movies, with some humor, that managed to rise and hold me up like a baby, a big fat baby. And they make me feel good. That's why they're here. And we've come to the last 2, 3, 4, 5 movies. But before I continue, I just want to mention that this list is for movies only. That's why I don't include any other works of art, including, TV series. Because there have been some series, TV series, which have been very helpful in supporting my feelings, basically, when I was feeling bad. And especially in the earlier part of my life, when it was much harder to watch movies. And I'm gonna just mention them. I'm not going to go into any details. Star Trek, the original series, Star Trek The Next Generation, Married with Children, Knight Rider, Cheers, and Taxi, the 1970s series, sitcom. All of these were like I'll just say I like them very much, and they were always there for me. And yes, I know how that sounds. Now, back to the movies. Limitless. Comedy, I guess. It's really hard for me to say that it's a comedy or not. I don't remember how it is mentioned in IMDb or anything. For me, it's a feel-good movie, and it's hard to explain. It's basically about some guy who finds a pill, and which makes his brain operate at a higher level than everyone else, and how he deals with life thanks to that pill. And I know how bad it sounds, but it's actually a feel-good movie. It's I like it very much, and always makes me feel good when I watch it. Next movie, Edge of Tomorrow, or I think it's called in some areas Live, Die, Repeat, or something like that. One of my favorite movies of all time, which comes from this decade. Edge of Tomorrow is a science fiction film with tiny bits of comedy that deals with an alien invasion of Earth, and it is done so well from beginning to end, and it is done so well from beginning to end. Everything works just so perfect that it is, like, for me at least, like a beautiful work of art. Now, I don't love this movie like Blade Runner or Ghostbusters, but it is up there in terms of high quality production, which just makes me feel good, and this is why it's here. And we have reached the top 3, although they are not really in any serious sequence. Not sequence. What's the word? Yeah, let's go to sequence. I'm too tired to think of the proper word. Okay. They Live, another John Carpenter movie, about another science fiction film, for the most part, that obviously can be seen in a very different way, and anti-capitalism perhaps, but I just don't agree. Of course there are parts of it, but if you notice, it's not really that type of... Well, it's not the point. It's that... I can't say it without ruining it. The story, I mean. I'll just leave it there because it's really difficult for me to explain myself and the movie without going into spoiler territory, and I don't want that. But if you haven't watched it, and if you like science fiction, watch it. It's very good, and it is definitely, for me at least, a comfort movie. Next one, Skyline. Once again, a science fiction movie. Not much comedy in this. Relatively, well, compared to other movies, I guess, low budget. It's not low budget, but it's not like Edge of Tomorrow, for example. In terms of production, you know, how much money went into this movie. It is again about an alien invasion of Earth, and how a very small group, mostly a very small group of people, tries to survive, and what they see from the outside of action, of how humans, the military, try to defeat the enemy invasion, the alien invasion. And it's one of those movies that it goes every minute, it gets better and better and better, And by the end of the movie, at the very end, you wanna say, yeah. At least that's how I see it. I know there's a sequel, I haven't seen it yet. Don't know if I will. But yeah, it is what it is. Skyline. Next one, and the last one in this list. The Fountainhead. Yeah, that Fountainhead. The 1946, I believe, movie. Based on the 1939 book. I think it is 13, something like that. But oh shit, I can't say the name. I'm just gonna say her last name, Rand. R-A-N-D. And it is a rough diamond. This movie, I'm gonna talk just about the movie, not the book. This movie is... It has many messages, definitely. But the main one for me, it was always, if what you're doing is the right thing, and then never, ever give up, no matter what. And that's what really makes me feel good watching this movie. And it is my number one movie in terms of comfort movies. I highly recommend it if you are feeling depressed, down with how life is treating you and how unfair things are and all that. Because everything I just said is in this movie. It's beautiful. I recommend the book too, but the movie, it's my number one in this list, easily. Alright, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and make sure to visit MDMax09, Mikey, his channel. I'll leave the link below. Great channel. Fantastic guy, different than most channels.